was a victim of circumstance.
Before he was America's Dad, Tom Hanks was wearing wigs and heels on primetime TV in a show that wasted incredible chemistry on a gimmick. Oh, and Doogie Howser? He could perform surgery but couldn't legally drive. These 80s sitcoms deserved way better than what they got, so let's talk about the shows that vanished when they should have been classics. The 80s blessed us with iconic TV shows that we all still quote today, but for every Cheers or Golden Girls, plenty of great shows never earned their rightful place in the TV Hall of Fame. Today, we're exploring 5 80s sitcoms on a spectrum from completely vanished to criminally underappreciated. And stick around until the end. I'll reveal which forgotten star went from sitcom actor to literally running Hollywood. Plus, our final pick? It's a show that won an Emmy in its first season, yet somehow never gets mentioned alongside Friends and Seinfeld. Now, if you love diving into TV history and uncovering these overlooked gems, hit that subscribe button right now and ring the bell. We post new deep dives every week. Number 1, Head of the Class, ABC. Let's kick things off with Head of the Class, the ABC sitcom that ran for 5 seasons and should have been a teen classic but somehow vanished from our collective memory. It was actually a top 30 show in its early seasons before viewership declined. On our spectrum, this one sits firmly in the truly forgotten category. The premise had everything going for it. Charlie Moore, played by Howard Hesseman, breaks all the rules to teach his gifted students in ways that actually respect their intelligence. These weren't your typical TV teens. They were the academic elite, the high IQ misfits who could solve complex equations but struggled with basic social interaction. But what made it special was that the show was revolutionary in portraying smart kids as the heroes, not the punchlines. It balanced intellect with heart, exploring real tensions between intellectual gifts and fitting in. So why did Head of the Class disappear? Well, let me count the ways. Saved by the Bell stole the spotlight.
Time out! Man, this is horrible.
Let's be honest, were 80s teens tuning in for brainiacs discussing philosophy or Zach Morris breaking the fourth wall? Yeah, we thought so. Then came the dramatic lead actor change. Howard Hesseman left after 4 seasons, frustrated that the show was drifting from its intellectual roots. His replacement? Billy Connolly, a Scottish comedian with a completely different energy. That's like replacing Mr. Feeney with a guy who tells dad jokes at a barbecue. Some things just don't translate. While other 80s shows got the Netflix treatment, Head of the Class sat in the Warner vault until HBO Max finally rescued it in 2021. By then, it was too late. The nostalgia train had left the station. The most frustrating part was that this forgotten show launched some incredible careers. Robin Givens became a TV and film mainstay. Brian Robbins went from sitcom actor to directing teen films like Varsity Blues before becoming president of Nickelodeon and now heads Paramount Pictures. Oh, and fun fact, Head of the Class even featured Jonathan Key Kwan as a recurring student. Decades later, he made an Oscar-winning comeback in Everything Everywhere All at Once. Now, if you love smart comedies that don't talk down to their audience like Community or AP Bio, Head of the Class deserves a spot in your viewing queue. It was ahead of its time in celebrating intelligence. Number 2, Gimme A Break, NBC. Moving on to our next overlooked gem, Gimme A Break, the NBC vehicle that should have made Nell Carter a household name forever. This show ran for 6 seasons, but still lands squarely in the people might recognize the name, but few have seen it zone of our spectrum. Unlike our previous show with its talent turnover, Gimme A Break had the perfect foundation. Nell Carter, a Broadway powerhouse who had won a Tony for Ain't Misbehavin' before transitioning to television. Her commanding presence made her the ideal lead as the no-nonsense housekeeper for a widowed police chief.
Oh, I always dreamed we'd be the Supremes.
I had that dream.
No, that was my dream, because I was gonna be Diana Ross.
The dynamic between her character Nell Harper and Chief Carl Kaniski was comedy gold. She was outspoken and sassy while he was traditional and by the book. But what made this show so special? Well, it addressed racial dynamics in the 1980s without being preachy. Having a black woman essentially raising 3 white children created opportunities for meaningful moments that were rare for primetime comedies of that era. So if the show had such a brilliant star, what went wrong? Well, 2 words: tonal whiplash. It started as a light family comedy with occasional touching moments. Then it pivoted to very special episodes, tackling serious issues. While these showed the cast's dramatic range, they created confusion for viewers expecting consistent laughs. Then came the final blow. They moved the entire premise to New York in the final season. Half the characters disappeared and the entire setting changed. It's like if Friends suddenly moved to Pittsburgh in season 9. Nobody asked for that. The show did give us one notable breakthrough star. A young Joey Lawrence joined the cast in season 3, years before his "whoa" catchphrase made him famous on Blossom.
Whoa, that is serious.
Those early episodes capture his natural charisma even as a child actor. The saddest part about this was that Nell Carter deserved better. She was a genuine triple threat, a phenomenal singer, a gifted comedian, and a capable dramatic actress. So if you love powerful female leads with perfect comedic timing like the Golden Girls or Designing Women, Gimme A Break is an overlooked treasure where Nell Carter shines as bright as any sitcom legend. Number 3, Doogie Howser, MD, ABC. From shifting family comedy to our next entry, the teenage genius doctor who could perform complex surgery but couldn't legally drive. Doogie Howser, MD on ABC sits in the middle of our spectrum because people remember the concept and Neil Patrick Harris, of course, but the actual show deserves way more credit than it gets. The premise was pure TV gold. A kid so brilliant he finished high school by 9, medical school by 14, and became a practicing surgeon by 16. This show had some serious pedigree behind it. It was created by television legends Stephen Bochco and David E. Kelley, the minds behind Hill Street Blues and LA Law. What made Doogie Howser compelling was the genuine tension between Doogie's dual lives. In the hospital, he was a respected doctor making life or death decisions. At home, he was still subject to his parents' rules. He couldn't drive himself to work and struggled with normal teenage experiences. In one masterful episode, Doogie informed a patient they had terminal cancer, then came home to ask his dad for permission to borrow the car for a date. These jarring transitions between adult responsibility and teenage limitations were both hilarious and poignant. So with this brilliant concept, why isn't Doogie more celebrated today? It's because the show suffered from severe genre whiplash. The fatal flaw, Doogie Howser couldn't decide if it was a medical drama or a teen coming-of-age story. One minute we're watching life and death medical emergencies, the next we're dealing with Doogie's first kiss. It's emotional whiplash, like if Grey's Anatomy suddenly turned into Saved by the Bell mid-episode. Add to that the now dated technology. Doogie typing his thoughts on that blue screen computer at the end of each episode was cutting edge in 1999, but it looks ancient today. The most fascinating part of Doogie's legacy, though, is Neil Patrick Harris had to wait 16 years before finding his next iconic role as Barney Stinson on How I Met Your Mother. His transformation from earnest young doctor to womanizing suit-loving Barney might be one of the most dramatic career reinventions in television history. Now, if you love shows that blend comedy with medical drama like Scrubs or fish out of water stories like Young Sheldon, Doogie Howser was pioneering this territory decades earlier and deserves another examination. Number 4, Bosom Buddies, ABC. Our next forgotten gem might have the most surprising star power of all. Bosom Buddies on ABC featured Tom Hanks and Peter Scolari dressing in drag to live in an affordable women-only apartment building. Yes, that Tom Hanks, America's dad and 2-time Oscar winner, spent 2 years in a wig and dress on primetime TV. If there was any show that deserves the truly vanished despite its potential label on our spectrum, it's this one. While our previous shows had somewhat plausible premises, Bosom Buddies sounds like it came from a desperate brainstorming session. What if we did Some Like It Hot, but weekly? 2 advertising guys, Kip, played by Tom Hanks, and Henry, played by Peter Scolari, lose their apartment and discover the only affordable housing is a women-only hotel. Rather than finding literally any other apartment, they decided the most logical solution was dressing in drag and committing to a full-time gender swap. What made this ridiculous concept work even briefly? Well, it was the genuine talent and chemistry of Tom Hanks and Peter Scolari. They played off each other with the timing of a seasoned comedy duo. Their friendship felt authentic, which made viewers forgive the absurd plot. So why did a show with this much talent vanish from our collective memory? Simple. The concept couldn't sustain itself, but that doesn't mean it shouldn't have evolved into something better. Just like our previous entries, this show just lost its direction. How long can two guys pretending to be women stay interesting? The writers recognized this problem early. By midway through season 1, they were minimizing the drag element, and by season 2, they were barely in drag at all, focusing instead on their work lives and dating adventures. But by then, viewers were thoroughly confused. Was it about roommates living a double life? Was it a workplace comedy about advertising? Was it a buddy comedy about adulting? Without a clear identity, the show struggled despite its obvious talent. What truly deserved better was the incredible chemistry between Hanks and Scolari. Their friendship was the heart of the show, and with better direction, they could have anchored something genuinely special. It's like finding a diamond and setting it in plastic. The talent was wasted on a premise that just couldn't last. The fascinating part? In interviews, Hanks never seems embarrassed by this show. He consistently credits it with teaching him everything about acting for the camera. Imagine what could have been if the writers had found a way to evolve the premise while keeping that incredible dynamic between the leads. Now, if you love watching the early work of legendary actors or appreciate the genuine chemistry of great comedy duos like in The Odd Couple, Bosom Buddies offers a fascinating glimpse at what might have been a long-running classic if it had found a way to evolve beyond its initial gimmick. Number 5. The Wonder Years. ABC. We've journeyed from truly forgotten to our final destination, and I don't mean the movie. We've finally gotten to the show that should be mentioned in the same breath as Cheers, Seinfeld and Friends, but somehow isn't. The Wonder Years on ABC stands as the criminally underappreciated classic on our spectrum. I can see you typing already, wait, The Wonder Years isn't forgotten. You're right, people definitely remember it, but here's my controversial take. This show should be on the Mount Rushmore of TV classics, yet somehow it's relegated to, oh yeah, that was a good show status. Unlike our previous entries that struggled to find their identities, The Wonder Years knew exactly what it was from day one, and that was its strength. What made it revolutionary was its perfect format. It was set during the late 1960s and early 70s, so it combined nostalgic period detail with an adult narrator reflecting on his childhood. This created a unique blend of comedy, drama, and bittersweet reflection. The brilliance came from balancing Kevin Arnold's coming-of-age experiences against profound historical events. While Kevin navigated first crushes and school bullies, the Vietnam War, the moon landing, and social upheaval played out in the background. Fred Savage's performance was extraordinary. At just 13 years old, he became the youngest actor ever nominated for an Emmy as lead actor in a comedy series. He had debuted on the show at age 12, but was 13 by the time of his historic nomination, so why doesn't The Wonder Years hold the same cultural status as its contemporaries? Well, unlike our other shows with their identity problems, The Wonder Years faced a different nemesis: music licensing nightmare. Music wasn't just background noise in The Wonder Years, it was the soul of the show. Songs from the Beatles, Joni Mitchell, the Rolling Stones, they weren't just playing, they were shaping Kevin's memories, just like music shapes ours.
Out of tune, would you stand up and walk out on me?
But when the show finally hit streaming, entire scenes were changed because of licensing costs, and fans, they noticed. It just didn't feel the same. When it finally hit streaming services, entire scenes had to be re-edited with different music, completely changing their impact. It's like watching Star Wars with the Imperial March replaced by elevator music. While shows like Cheers and MASH were constantly in syndication, The Wonder Years largely disappeared during crucial years when other shows were cementing their legacy. We also can't ignore how the show's ending affected its legacy. The series finale revealed that Kevin and Winnie, the central relationship viewers had invested in for years, don't end up together. Now, while this was realistic, it denied viewers the satisfying conclusion they craved. If you appreciate shows that blend nostalgia, coming-of-age stories, and historical context like This Is Us or Freaks and Geeks, The Wonder Years remains the unmatched gold standard that influenced them all. From men in dresses to teenage doctors to a coming-of-age masterpiece, these 5 shows represent the wide spectrum of TV's forgotten and underappreciated treasures. Oh, and the answer to our earlier question, Head of the Class actually did get a reboot in 2021 on HBO Max, but it was canceled after just 1 season. History really does repeat itself. So if you enjoyed this journey through TV's spectrum of forgotten gems, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. Let's keep the nostalgia alive. Drop a comment with your favorite forgotten 80s shows, and until next time, remember, great TV deserves a second chance.